Okay, over x sub 2, 2 minus x sub 1 is 17. Okay, well, we got a minus minus.
Oh, yeah. We mean addition?
So that means we need to change that to a plus first. Okay, you have to type them in on your calculator right in order for it to work. And the other thing, this is probably the most important thing, the order matters. Okay, so that means that the very first ones, they need to be labeled the ones. The second ones need to be labeled the twos. You got to put them in the right spots because subtraction, it's not the same to say 1 minus 3 as 3 minus 1.
35 over 19.
Okay, so it's going to be 19 over 6. 19 minus 16 is going to be 3
Over 19.
over 19. Okay, so you should have got 3 over 19. Okay, so if you didn't, it ain't right. You need to fix it. Okay, number 3. Same thing. We need to label x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, well my y sub 2 comes first, so I got negative 10 minus y sub 1 is negative 6 over x sub 2 is 20 minus x sub 1, which is negative 3.
Now we gotta change it to positive.
So some of them we can change to a positive, okay? If we have a minus minus and they are right next to each other, like pretty much touching, we can change that to a minus minus. But you can't take, like, if it was 10, negative 10 minus 6, you can't take those and turn those into a plus. They gotta be like right next to each other. It has to literally say minus and then another minus. Okay, so this one we can change to a plus, and on the bottom I can change to a plus. Okay, and then now we're ready to type that in on the calculator. Okay, so you always want to change the minus minuses to a plus before you put them in on your calculator. Okay, because then some of you guys use a minus when you should use a negative, because negative and minus are not the same thing on a calculator. Okay, so negative 10 plus 6 is going to be negative 4 over 20 plus 3 is going to be 23.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, we got x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, so my y sub 2 is 19 minus y sub 1 is 0. Over x sub 2 is negative 8 minus x sub 1 is 7. Okay, so 19 minus 0, I'm going to get 19 for the top. Negative 8 minus 7 is going to be 15, negative 15 for the bottom. So it's going to be negative 15 over 19. And on your calculators, it doesn't really matter where you put the minus sign. Okay? So as long as there's one there. So if you write it like this, and I'm going to write it in blue. Okay, if you write negative 19 over 15, or you write... we could say 19 and it's right out to the center over 15, or 19 over negative 15. Those are all the same exact answer. They look different, but they're the same. Okay? Okay, look at number 5. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, my y sub 2 is negative 15 minus y sub 1 is negative 13 over x sub 2 is negative 17 minus x sub 1 is negative 1. Okay, I can change all my minus minuses to a plus and a plus. So negative 15 plus 13 is going to be negative 2. Negative 17 plus 1 is going to be negative 16. Okay, you can go a step further on this. You do not have to. On your calculators, you're probably gonna get
1/8.
2 over 16 or 1 over 8 are also equivalent answers. Okay, because what's a negative divided by a negative? Positive, so that's how I got this number to be positive. And you could take both of these two and simplify that fraction is how they got 1/8. So any of those answers are totally correct. I will accept all three of them. Normally, like in other math classes and eventually in this one, okay, I would say, well, it needs to be in simplest form. But we're focused on one thing at a time, okay? I feel like pick your battles. You're doing the best you can, and this is good for now, okay? I feel like that's sometimes petty. Like, you got it to here, and then you're gonna mark it wrong, okay? That's petty, in my opinion, okay? So, as long as you can, you know, if you have it all set up and you've maybe forgot a minus sign, you guys know I'm pretty fair. Like, I'll just chuck the minus sign on there for you and say, hey, it should be negative. But, okay, so you should be able to get most of this done. Okay, go to number 11. Okay, so we figured out how to do slope with our 2 points. Okay, our coordinates, which is what we did on the front. They gave us some coordinates and we had to figure it out. Okay, on this one, they want you to find the slope. Okay, so our slope, what letter do we use for slope? Huh?
S.
Look at the front of your page. What letter do we use?
M.
M. M is always used for slope. Okay, so we could say slope or M equals, and you're going to need to know this part, and this is a little bit tough, okay? Slope, we can also look at it as rise over run. Okay, and I think sometimes some math teachers don't necessarily do the best job